everyone, welcome to Lauren's Scrapplot. My name is Lauren Urbonis and this is my Show Me How It's Done series. So I'm picking a product or project to show you every Tuesday evening. You're welcome to craft along with me if you'd like, or of course you can just sit back and enjoy. Tonight I have for you a Concertina card fold. So I learned about this card fold years ago from a fellow demonstrator named Connie Stewart. So she had a wonderful depiction of a project that she had done using this fold. And I decided this year, since I was featuring the North Pole Delivery set for my all-day retreat back in October, that I was going to feature all of these Christmas themes in my project. So if you're following along with me, the main pieces that we're going to need are Real Red, Pool Party, and then this great North Pole Delivery Designer Series paper. The reason I love the Designer Series paper is I didn't have to do any prep work for the decals. They come pre-colored and pre-cut from two of those sheets. So I'm going to use those to save a little bit of time, but I am going to walk you through how to make this card. It will take a little bit longer of your time tonight, but I promise you it will be worth it. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the easy parts of our card kind of ready and prepped, and then I'll show you how to actually make this Concertina fold in a couple minutes as well. Okay, so I'm going to get myself reset here. Okay, what are we going to start with? We're going to start with this inside panel. Let's get this inside panel here ready to go. So for that piece, we're going to need a Pool Party that is 3 1/4 by 11. Okay, so that's going to be this little piece right here. It's going to be 3 1/4 up, 11 across. Then we need to do some score marks on here, okay? So the first one that we need is at 3/4 inch. Then we need 1 1/2. So you're seeing here that I have 2. Ignore that. I made a mistake. I put it at 0.5 and you don't need it there. You need it at 3/4 inch, 1 1/2, 5 1/2, 9 1/2, and 10 1/4. So keep in mind that I have listed all the description and measurements for this card down below. So if you get stuck, you can either click that pause button and catch up with us, or of course at any point you can simply just go to that full list. I've tried to label things for you and you can find all these measurements there, okay? But there's our first Pool Party piece. Now we need to do some decoration on here, so we'll start with this little guy here. There's actually 2 of them. There's one there and one there. So we need 2 little pieces of Designer Series paper. Those are going to measure 1 1/2 by 3 inches. And we're going to attach them onto our piece here. So we have this first section that's going to get folded under and put adhesive on. So it's this second section that this one piece goes in. And then we had a second one on the far side, okay? So we're leaving the 2 right and left alone, and we're gonna add those 2 in place so they don't get lost. I'm just always worried about my little pieces disappearing. So that's why we're focusing on this center panel first. I just like to get them out of our way, and then we don't need to worry about them running off. All right, here we go. So gluing that guy in place, make sure to leave a nice size border kind of on the right and the left. If you can, maybe move that one up so it's centered a bit more. I never fully press something down till I'm happy with where it's sitting. That looks better. Okay, there's one piece. There's 2. So these 2 pieces, they just happen to match the Mailbox Designer Series paper that I was using on this panel. But of course, if you have scraps from somewhere else in the package, go ahead and choose those because we don't want to chop up a fully usable piece of paper. These are extras from some sort of design that you've done in the past, okay? So there's those 2 pieces. Now in the center, we need some sort of designer paper. I chose the mailboxes because I thought they looked adorable, and some sort of paper to write on. So I like the white. If you prefer, you can probably add an ivory or even a crumb cake in there instead. It's completely up to you. Both of those pieces are going to be 3 inches by 3 3/4. The reason I love the mailbox piece is it doesn't really matter which way is up. You just get to flip this around and see what you prefer. And then white is, of course, easy to write on and easy to work with. So there we go. We're going to attach those guys there. One goes on the right, one goes on the left, and the fun part is you could switch this around. If your vehicle, for instance, because in that set, every vehicle has one facing right and one facing left, same with the animals and such. If your vehicle's running the opposite direction, then you would just switch these 2 panels so that your one car ran this way. Okay? It doesn't matter. But let's put that on the inside here. Again, tiny border as much as you can. And that looks good to me for my mailboxes. There we go. While this is still in front of us, I like to work with double-sided tape, so I'm going to get my panels ready to go just so when I have the base built, I can easily add them in. If you're somebody who prefers glue and tape or seal, you'll have to wait on this step, but mine can be ready and able to jump in as soon as my card is built. Okay, so we should be looking like this at the moment. We're going to do a little bit of folding to get things ready, okay? So the first thing we'll do is fold this directly in half. And you do want a bone folder handy to give yourself a nice crisp line. So that half is going to be folding our card right in half for us. And then the first score mark, the one that's right beside both your white and your mailboxes, we're going to fold backwards. So fold one backwards, flip over, fold the other one backwards. Okay, so far we've got this kind of little W thingy. And then we're going to fold the next line backwards again. Often we do an accordion, not for this card. We're folding this one backwards one more time. Because this piece is going to get attached to the back of our card. Keep this in line. Don't worry, the nice thing about folds is we can always come back and fix it if yours does not look like mine at the moment. So it should have a giant V and then almost like a little U on the side of each of those, okay, little arms. So that's the center of the card here. The next thing we're going to cut and prep are our 2 pool party panels, because we might as well get those done as well. We've got the pool party paper out. So this panel is both for the front and for the back. So you need 2 identical pieces of pool party that are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We're going to ignore the back piece. Really, that is just simply going to be glued on top of, and it's this back panel. But the front piece here, we need to do a little bit of layer on. Oh, I forgot to add my decorations. Sorry guys, we'll do that I guess after we do this one. Do need to decorate this guy here. Okay, let's keep going here. So we've got 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 in pool party. Now we need to start layering this front. So we're going to grab a piece of real red. This one will measure 4 by 5 1/4. And I just encourage you guys, if you're barely using any of the paper, you're just seeing the frame, go ahead and chop a few die cuts out of it. So I used my stylish circles for the piece on the front here. And then these 2 actually were just from the all-day retreat. I needed extra red postage and circles. So I used my cardstock to the maximum and made use of it. So my 4 by 5 1/4 piece, I'm going to put dimensionals on the back and put that on top of the pool party right there. Take your pick tool. There we go. 2, 3, maybe throw a couple in the center here since we did take away the stability, but it's still pretty strong. Your next layer is going to be yet another piece of designer paper, whatever design you prefer from that package. I thought these vehicles were fun because they kind of complemented the trucks and the mail delivery idea on the inside. So this is 3 3/4 by 5, and we're going to put that flat onto the front of our card. For decorations here, I had mentioned I already used one of my stylish shaped circles. I think this one is about the 4th in size, 4th smallest. So I'm popping that one up on dimensionals, and it's going in the center of my project. I'm going to work everything else around it or on top of it. And the trucks we can pick and choose in a minute here. So right in the center. For my sentiment, I decided to grab the Jolly Delivery stamp set, of course, and hoping this Christmas is the most magical yet, fit really nicely in one of those circles for me. So that's what I'm going to use in a real red ink. Right there. Underneath this guy, we are putting even more dimensionals. We're just going all out because this is a very bold and fun card anyways, so it's gonna need a big envelope regardless. So might as well add some extra layers and just play with it as much as we possibly can. All right, putting a few dimensionals. Usually I'd put them on the back of the white, but I need to let that guy dry for a minute. I keep having bad luck with my whites smearing if I touch them too soon. So I'm going to give it a few seconds to dry. Hopefully then it won't be angry with me. There we go. That can go right in the center there. Perfect. All right, and then from those die cuts, I decided to grab myself one of the trucks. There are, of course, multiple colors of trucks or vehicles. One has a tree in the back. This one, though, I just wanted to match. So I want to pop this one up, but I want it to be as high as the white circle. And because we've put one layer under the red and one layer under the white, I need to actually put 2 dimensionals stacked on top of each other underneath these tires. So I'm just going to use the big dimensionals, keep this nice and sturdy, kind of down by the wheel wells. We've got one layer of dimensionals and we take off the backing, and then we put a second layer of dimensionals on top of that stack, take off the back, and now you should be able to add this to the card. And then to finish off the front, we're going to add a few embellishments. These are the Dear Dot embellishments, and I decided to go with the blue, the pool party ones, just to blend in really nicely with my card. So I've done one large one I'll do 2 small ones. 1 and 2 right there, like so, to decorate. So there's the front of the card. It is ready for us to use, but we need to do another step here. That is going to be the Concerta insert, and that one might take us a few minutes. This one I'm guessing you're going to have to pause because I have stamped these mailboxes all across the back. So you're going to need to take a minute to do that. But let's get building the Concerta section first, and then you can stamp if you wish. Okay? So we need 2 pieces of real red. However, they are slightly different than one another. So the first piece you're going to cut at 8 inches by 5 1/4, and we're going to put 1 score mark at 4 inches. So 8 by 5 1/4 and scored at 4 inches, right there. The second piece is similar, but it has 1 extra score mark and half an extra inch. So this one will be 8 1/2 by 5 1/4, and we're scoring both at 4 and at 8. Okay, now we get to connect these two. So they're basically the same size. See, if I was to put one over the other, almost the same, except for this little tab. So this little tab is what we're using to connect the two together. So we put adhesive on that tab, and then we connect these two, one on top of the other, like so. There we go. So far, so good. We need to do some die cutting now. Okay, so this is going to be tricky if you do not own some sort of rectangular die set. So the one that I'm using is still available at the moment. It's our Textured Notes layering dies. We also in the past have had layering rectangles. If worse comes to worse, you probably can use the Stylish Shapes square, but I actually didn't confirm. I should confirm if that fits the largest one. Let's see. Here's the largest square. Would that? No, it wouldn't fit. So you'd have to cut this down. My preference for you is to find some sort of rectangular die set. That will make this so much easier. So I grabbed the 4th largest one, and I learned this tip from Connie. So she cut it herself, a piece of scrap paper. This is a white piece of paper, and it measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. So it perfectly fits inside one of these little spots. And then as soon as you basically commit to where your rectangle is now, I can cut this piece out and I can cut this piece out, and I can know that they're going to be in the same spot because I haven't rotated the rectangle. It hasn't moved on me at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut rectangles in these middle 2 panels. Those are these 2 guys here. We do not need rectangles in the sides because those are just our base panels, but we need rectangles in these center panels here. So I'm going to set my little guy here on top, and then I'm going to grab my cut and emboss machine and roll that through. Here's my machine. You won't really be able to see everything, but I've got this set up in place. I'm going to roll that through once, probably like forward and backwards, just because you're going through a couple pieces of paper. 1 and 2. So going through both the white and the red. Now when I take this off very gently, this red square, sorry, one little section that didn't want to come. There we go. I have this red square that came out of the middle. You can use that on another project. It's not going to come into play for us on this one, but it is really nicely stitched. So you can easily set that aside and use it for something in the future. Okay, we've done one of them. Now we need to do the second panel. Remember, those are the two middle ones. We're going to roll this through forward and backward to get that out. Let's get rid of that guy. Take that off. So I kept this handy because I had to prep a bunch of these, and I just thought it was easy to use over and over, and then I'll put this back with my other dies when I'm finished with it. But it came in handy to make multiples of these. All right, there's my two center panels. Now here's where you guys are gonna maybe click that pause button and do some stamping. I don't think I'm gonna do the stamping on this one just because it would take so long for the video. But if you're interested, there is this adorable little mailbox stamp included in the Jolly Delivery set. If you take your red ink and you stamp mailboxes basically all around your papers, see, did mailboxes all over, just switch directions as you go. So, you know, you do one straight, the next one you turn, the next one you move up a little bit. You're just adding texture to the background if you want it. So this one has it. You can see it's kind of fun and funky. And then I'll do one that doesn't because it's a little challenging for you to sit here and watch me do it. Okay, we need to fold this piece. So let's click that pause button if you're planning to stamp. And let's pretend everyone else is now done and ready to go. Okay, so these panels here, we need to make a nice tall arch right here. So we're going to fold this guy down. You've got your bone folder handy. And because we used that set template, we're in the same spot for our rectangles on both of these. So we've made that nice tall point. Now we're going to make a W. So make that up, turn over, dimensional backings getting everywhere, turn over, so that what you have in the end should be this little W. Okay, it's our W that we're working with. We're going to put these two panels on top of their buddies here. Okay, so we've got the front of the card and the back of the card. The front of the card we're going to do first, just so we make sure it's facing the right way. Put this down on the table, and this part is going to go on the back of it like so. So if you want, you can use some glue, or you can just close this up and put some tape on there. Ready. I would do the whole perimeter because this is a really valuable and necessary layer. We don't want any loose ends. One, two, there we are. You can keep this all closed if that'll make your life a little easier. And we're going to center this on that layer of Pool Party right there. Okay, it's closed, but just double check that it's opening kind of correctly. We've got one panel, we've got two open spaces, we've got one left. Close it up again and put adhesive all over this back piece. This one's not as important, so it doesn't need the full perimeter because it's not going to be as heavy. You can if you want. Now, this one would be really tricky if I was to turn it over and try to line it up onto the middle of my blue. So here's the cheater's way to do it. This front blue and this blue are exactly the same size. So stand up in your workspace, look straight down, and just make sure those blues are lined up one on top of another. And you've made your sandwich exactly the way it needs to be. Okay, we did it! So far, so good. Next and last, we have our middle panel. this guy's going to be pretty easy to put in because we've got everything all set up for it. We've even got the adhesives. So here we go. We're going to throw this through the center, which I know is really funny, but it is what we're doing. And then we need to basically try to get this as centered in the project as possible. So what my suggestion to you is we're going to kind of, what did I do? Oh, there we go. I need this like so. Okay, so we want to fold both of these panels underneath for the moment, and we're going to rest this, you know, just about half an inch from the edge. So what we did is we basically just lined up right to the edge here when both of them were tucked under. Only the one here is going to stick. Doesn't matter if this one's folding under. We're going to line them up as centered between the top and the bottom as we can. Take off the adhesive. And tuck this under. So just the white and the blue are going. So squish, squish, squish. When it pops out, that one will pop up from the edge. And this one is going to be very much the same. You'll notice your fold has to be between the two square panels. And then if you just lie this one down with one of your strips and the adhesive strip showing, if you close the card up, it should line up exactly where you need it to be. Okay, so let's try it. If we're a little off, it's okay, but at least the card is squared this way. Okay, so there we go. Fold, tap, make sure it's attached. And then when you open it, there we go. We're all set. I grabbed a couple extra little decals because I thought they were cute. So I'm going to grab this little mail pole, add him to the side, and a mail truck to go with all of my mail. Might have been slightly easier to do that after. These two guys I am going to put on flat. I know it's tempting to put dimensionals, but it might end up kind of making really weird creases on the front of your card. So I'm just going to have them flat with tape. So there we go. So you see, it looks great even without the stamping. Nobody knew that the stamping was there. You don't have to have it. And then when you close this, just make sure this little blue V is in between these two. If it's kind of moved over accidentally onto one of the sides, it's not going to close right. So just make sure it's in there, and it should close up perfectly for you in order to fit into a card. So there's your Concerta card. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you're having a wonderful time doing all your Christmas crafting. And if you don't mind, please give this video a like. It does help me a lot. And consider subscribing because I post new Show Me How It's Done videos every Tuesday evening. And I do the Great North American Stamping Show on Thursdays. We are taking a little bit of a break in December and stuff, so we can all kind of concentrate on our families and the other Christmas prep that we have going on. But we'll be back in January, so don't worry, you're not missing us. We'll do a whole new season in January. But thank you again for stamping with me. If you had any questions, check out the description and contact me if you're in Canada and you need a demonstrator. Bye guys.